Okay, so you have a investment property, you've got a rental unit, maybe you've got multiple rental units, and you're wondering, how should I own these properties? Should I put them into a trust, an LLC? Should I transfer the LLC into the trust? You're probably worried. Most commonly, people are worried about, I don't want to get sued and lose the property. I want asset protection. I want to make sure my properties are protected. So I'm, talking about, should you transfer the property into a trust? I got to give the lawyer answer. It really depends. I'm in South Florida, ton of real estate here. Work with a lot of investors and just individuals who maybe they've got their house, their primary residence, and then they've got a couple additional properties as well, 2 or 3 rentals or something like that. And so when we're talking about their estate plan, when we're talking about their will and what they want to do, the question of, how should we put the properties into a trust always comes up. So here's the thing. You have an investment property, right? And probably your main goal is asset protection, and not even really asset protection because, if you've got hundreds and hundreds of properties, that's one thing. But let's say you've got 10, right? Or less than 10, you're probably not, worth hundreds of millions of dollars yet, right? And so asset protection might not be the thing that you're most concerned about, because you need access to your money. Asset protection is a whole nother thing where you might not even have direct access to your money. You need liquidity. You need those rental properties. You need to be able to sell them quickly if something happens and whatnot. Your main concern probably is that you just want to make sure that you're protected so that if someone falls on your property, they can't sue you and take all 10 of your properties, right? You want creditor protection. That's really what I would say most of my clients are after or want to make sure they're on. So first of all, an LLC is great, right? An LLC has creditor protection built into it. Why? Because what is the LLC? If you own, 123 Main Street, right? You own a piece of property and it's owned by the 123 Main Street LLC, okay? And someone slips and falls at that property. Who do they go after? Who's the owner? 123 Main Street LLC, right? That's the owner for legal purposes. And so if the only asset is that one property, the only thing that 123 Main Street LLC owns is that apartment, the only thing potentially they can go after is that property, because the owner, which is that LLC, only owns that one property. So an LLC is great for that, right? Because again, if you own it in your name, if I, Justin Stivers, own 123 Main Street in my name, well, now who's the owner? I am. And so if I've got 10 properties that are all in my name, they're coming after all those 10 properties. So you want to limit that liability. And so my opinion is having one LLC own that property, and probably even having one LLC owning each property is not a bad idea, because you've got that creditor protection. Now, when we talk about trust with my clients, most of the trust that we're talking about is in the estate planning context of what happens after I die, right? Who gets what of my stuff? And so we're talking about how are those assets going to be transferred to their kids, to their loved ones, make sure that their spouses can't take it, their kids' spouse, their son-in-law, daughter-in-law can't get divorced and take the stuff that they leave to them. That's really what we're talking about when we're talking about a trust, a revocable living trust, a family trust, something like that. So I generally don't have my clients put their investment properties into the trust. Why? For the same reason that I don't want to own that investment property in my name. Because if I own it in my name, or if I own it in my trust, and my trust owns a bunch of other stuff, guess what happens? Now there's the potential that those creditors, the person suing me, can come into my trust and get access to all the stuff, the money, the houses, the bank accounts, all that sort of stuff. So I probably am not going to put that LLC into my trust. I'm probably not going to put that investment property into my trust. Now, there's things that you can do to kind of limit that, because one of the things I want to make sure that happens is I want to make sure that the property doesn't go through probate when I die, right? And if you are a single member LLC and it's in your name only, and when you die, who gets that property? Well, probably your family, but they're going to have to go to probate because there's no built-in thing to that LLC that just says, hey, my kids can continue operating it. So there might be some things that we want to do. We might transfer some of the shares of the LLC into the trust. We might talk about an operating agreement for the LLC. So there's a bunch of different things. But so again, the lawyer thing is, do you put the LLC into the trust? It really depends. There's a bunch of different things that you can do. But what I would recommend when you're speaking with your attorney or you're setting this stuff up, just be clear about what your intentions are, right? What is it that you're trying to do? Is it, hey, I'm worried? Most of the time, it's probably going to be, I'm worried about that I'm going to get sued. Now, it might be that you have hundreds of millions of dollars and asset protection is a really big thing or something like that. But most of the time, it's going to be that creditor protection piece. Let the attorney know, and then he or she can come up with a plan that makes sure, your goals and you are protected.